Всем доброго времени суток, друзья, на связи Damascus Play. Как ваши дела? Как ваше настроение? Пока не начали, могу я кое-что сказать? Спасибо, что правильно выставили время оба раза, что запускали игру. Многие относятся к этому как-то несерьезно, оставляют часы на 12:00 и торопятся дальше. А вы потратили время, чтобы выставить часы, и я это ценю. Это говорит мне о том, что вы играете внимательно, что для вас важны детали. А я ведь даже не знаю, правильное ли вы время выставили. Знаете что, давайте отговоримся. Я вам так доверяю, что при следующем запуске игры просто вставьте на этом экране любое свое любимое время. Выбирайте любое время, даже если оно неправильно, вы заслужили. А теперь можете вернуться к игре. Так, окей. Как ваши дела, ребята? Как у вас настроение? У меня буквально вот 3 дня назад был день рождения. Что еще нового?
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Окей, послушаем.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Так, ну давайте осмотримся, что у нас тут есть интересного. Я сидел, играл в арену, у меня бомбанула жопа с того, что я вечно сливаю свой схрон, и решил записать видосик для вас, так как я давненько ничего не записывал, ибо я в разъездах то на соревнованиях, то еще где-то.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Насколько мне говорили, эта игра с выбором. Давайте пойдем вправо, в чем проблема?
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Это что?
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Куда-то поехали, ребята. Мы куда-то загружаемся.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
Right. Да, блять. Ладно. Придется идти налево.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Окей, давайте пойдем. Опа.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Окей. Эта игра не перестает меня удивлять.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Большая часть комнат закрыта, к сожалению, поэтому попасть мы в них особо не можем. Ну, можно двери пооткрывать. Картина. Закрыто.
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Охуеть. Ну пошлите сюда. Мы в бэкрумсе, ребята. Тут у нас что интересно? Шкафчики всякие. Ищем сюжет, ребята. Погнали.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Окей, погнали. Давайте.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Тут комната. Тут не открывается. Тут тоже не открывается. Сюда? Нет, не сюда. Окей, давайте сюда. Нет. Везде закрыто, алло. Очень странно.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Да что, блядь, происходит?
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so.
Я не уверен в этом.
I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
Wow.
Congratulations!
Спасибо.
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart.
Ну, опять он рестартает игру. Блин, ладно. Хорошо, хорошо. Так уж и быть.
All right,
The
I've got a
Stanley
solution.
Parable
This time, to make
Adventure
sure
Line.
we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Блять. Я хочу над ним поиздеваться.
No, I'm done. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
Ну, я не особо хочу идти за линией. Блять, ладно, придется идти за линией. Окей, так уж и быть.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny.
А
Nope.
тут у нас что?
Here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me.
Окей.
Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that
Блин, а
existence,
вниз нельзя,
right?
ладно.
Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need
Что
right
это,
now is a bit
блядь?
of music to lighten the mood.
Что происходит? Так, ребят, стоп. Я хочу чуть-чуть подубавить. Вот так вот. Рассказчика я оставил на 100, а все убавил. У меня уши, блядь, просто болят уже. Так, окей.
Wait, cut the music. Go back and look at that fern.
Нахуя.
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Ну ясно, запомнили, осмотрели. А тут у нас что? Да, почему везде двери не открываются? Твою дивизию. Тут тоже, тут тоже. Ю-ю-ю-ю.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Окей. Блять.
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Well, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Пошлите.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Okay.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with that counterintuitive reverse door of origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Давайте по приколу походим кругами еще. Ну, в обратном направлении тоже. Окей.
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game for eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Рассказчик перезапускает игру, перезапуск, место в черное пространство, побродите во тьме. Книжный магазин, где скучаете и увидите, рассказчик перезапускает игру, 8-й перезапуск, спустя долгое время Стэнли умирает. Позитивненько. Что произошло? Блять, окей.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Там открыта дверь. А она была закрыта, кстати говоря. Может... Блин, ладно. Сейчас так не получится сделать. Так, в той части мы пошли вправо, сейчас пойдем в левую. Она закрыта. Окей.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Что тут интересного есть у нас? Катушка.
There was nothing
ключ.
Here. No choice to make, no path to follow.
Ключ.
Just an
Степлер.
empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Что тут еще есть? Шланг. Окей.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything.
Все.
At least if there
Я
was
здесь
something to
остаюсь.
interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA. Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused. You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever.
Я бы и не подумал даже упоминать о ней. Ну окей. Я не читаю субтитры, потому что думаю... Я не читал субтитры, потому что думаю, в принципе...
Did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite. I hope your friends find this concerning.
Окей, продолжаем стоять.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
С какого перепуга мы вообще должны его слушать?
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead.
Нет.
Got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place. Make it coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Пошлите вниз. Ой. Это что у нас?
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single...
По-моему, мы ходим кругами.
None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange, this can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled.
Блять, пошлите
This is
назад.
all a dream.
Нет, не пойдем назад.
What a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking. Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley. I found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if
Ничего не меняется, мы просто, блядь, ходим кругами.
Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Нет, не получилось.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Опа. А потом наступила темнота.
This is the story of a woman named
Это история женщины по имени Мариэлла. Мариэлла проснулась самым обычным утром. Она встала, оделась и пошла на работу. В этот день ее прогулки прервал мужчина, который шел по городу. Разговаривал сам с собой и крича, а потом замертво упал на тротуар. Она уже собиралась позвать на помощь, но несколько мгновений не могла оторвать взгляд от незнакомца. Он был сумасшедшим, это она знала точно. Все знают, как выглядят сумасшедшие. Тогда она подумала, как ей повезло, что она нормальная.
It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Окей. Ever the end is never the end. О, опять 25. Поехали.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Меня это уже порядком заебало. New content? А ну.
Oh, new content? What does that mean? New content?
Ну-ка, давайте. Опять загрузка.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Ну, давайте.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Ну, поднимаемся.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them... Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Давайте посмотрим.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Блять. Окей. Ой. Восемь, семь, шесть, пять, 3, 2, 1. Вау. Такое себе, такое себе.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more.
What?
Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Thank you for enjoying the new
That's it?
content.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Окей. Давайте. Что-то мне подсказывает, что что-то здесь не так. О, блядь. Добрый день. Это типа... А, ладно. Впрочем, не будем.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Ай. Давайте.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Wow.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Ну, блин, я хотел на скамейку. Это рояль.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Ну, пошлите дальше. Тут у нас что? Memory Zone Main. Окей. Там что-то важное. Это что у нас? Это мы. Там кнопки есть. Ого. И почему у меня до сих пор нет ног? В конце концов. Издание у нас получается.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Я решил записать видео, как я уже говорил, потому что я сегодня уезжаю в другую страну на соревнования. Ну, как это будут спортивные сборы, и снимать я долго не смогу. Поэтому решил заснять вот сегодня. The Serious Room. Серьезная комната 2013. The greatest wealth is memory. Oh.
Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's being collected down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Не рекомендую.
I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny.
Oi.
I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Блять, а вот этот нельзя прочитать, к сожалению.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley parable isn't quite as sterling as I always... What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourish. Well, there's sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours.
А, вот, кстати, часы, да.
You've just been frozen there.
Давайте.
I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so...
А где диктор? Окей, давайте дальше нажимать. Что пищит?
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned. They screamed. They gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little...
Окей. Опа. Что-то произошло. Что-то мы, ребята, сломали с вами. Ну вот, кстати, вот это можно на превьюшечку взять. Хотя, ладно, похуй. Я удивлен, что кнопка все еще работает. Мне немного некомфортно тут находиться. Поэтому я хочу быстрее скипнуть. О. Где мы? По-моему, это было море. Насколько я помню. Давайте обойдем здание, может, найдем что-нибудь прикольное. Может, тут... О, мы можем на него забраться. Не можем. Эх. Ладно, пошлите еще раз дернем кнопку. Авось что-то получит. Окей.
All of his co-workers were gone. Displeased, Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
Так, секунду.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Так, ребята, тут перед нами встал выбор без выбора. Нам нужно понять, куда пойти. В Mind Control. Что это, блядь? Короче, либо на выход, либо к кнопке. Пойдемте к кнопке. Камера. Сейчас пойдемте к кнопочке. Поехали.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Интересно. Мне кажется, этого нельзя было допускать. Еба.
Aha! You've made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the mind control facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're all very, very clever. Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours. So, here you go. New content. You can call it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates. Isn't that what you crave? New content? Always more content, more content, more. And I'm here to give it to you. I'm here to make it seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game, with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this section. You won't hear it anywhere else in the game. It's a secret that's just for you. That's how special you are. We call this track, Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Well done.
Я думал, мы разобьемся. Блять, ладно. Я думал, мы разобьемся. Но мы не разбились. Мы нашли какую-то а-ля концовку. Непонятную вообще никому. Давайте.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
New content. Поехали.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Что-то мне это опять, блядь, не нравится. Как будто мы это уже видели. По-моему, мы это видели. Окей. По-моему, мы это видели. О. Быстро мы добрались.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever The Stanley Parable 2.
Вау! The end is never the end again. 427.
Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Ого, целый музей.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Ну давайте пройдем сюда. Your name is the game. Roll the perfect button.
I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button, which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that one? Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself... Jim. Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim, playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night for a popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction as Jim. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
Ну, пойдемте обратно.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable 2. They would appreciate what I've created here.
О, мерч. А этот QR мой, интересно, могу отсканить? Ну-ка. Мне стало очень сильно интересно, смогу ли я отсканировать этот QR-код. А ну-ка, давайте-ка попробуем. Так. Стопэм. Реально смог. А ну-ка. Welcome to the official website of Stanley Parable 2. A sequel? Huh? That's new. If you're more of a prequel sort of person, check out the Stanley Parable. Блять, серьезно, они даже сделали страничку Stanley Parable 2. No screenshots. Пожалуйста, не скриншотить.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
А, кстати, вот мы узнали, как мы выглядим. Happy. Get Well Someday.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get well someday it is. Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on. Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Блять, окей. Я тебя услышал,
God, it really is
рассказчик.
the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic. Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising. Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen. What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Так, ребятки, что у нас здесь? В принципе, мы тут все уже облазили. The Stanley Parable. Bucket. А ну-ка. Какое-то ведро есть у нас теперь.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley
Ведро, ребята.
feel perfectly
Это
normal,
просто
perhaps even
пик этой игры, блять.
You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect
А можно я его заберу, ребят?
Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2. Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Ладно, ребятки, пойдем на выход.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now? So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Ура! Stanley Parable 2.
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of...
Да-да-да, конечно, конечно.
Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes. Yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
Бум. Нихуя не поменял. О, там мини-фигурка. Кстати, как туда спуститься? Там мини-фигурка.
And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, this is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Ну, давайте. Глянем. Ага. Stanley Parable. Ну, кстати. Ну, тут, в принципе, все как обычно. Интересно очень. Давайте посмотрим.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
А это я никак теперь не могу скипнуть, блядь.
Job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his... All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket.
Ну, блядь, без ведра никуда, ребят. Запомнили это? Окей. You know? Мне похуй вообще. Да, переговорная была не в той стороне, но Стэнли чувствовал, как ведром зовет его и тянет в комнату отдыха.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Ага, а вот тут мы, кстати, ребята, не были.
Said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do. Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't.
Погнали.
But Stanley chose not to think. But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching. Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct meeting room. Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Я видел там мини-фигурку.
And here it was.
Я хочу ее забрать.
Turned out to be correct. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. You found one of them.
Wow.
Miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these. Only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Окей. А вниз мы спуститься не можем, да? Ну, бля, обидно, ребята. Очень обидно. А мы с такой высоты, интересно, разобьемся или нет? Хотя... Ну, я думаю, если, в принципе, присесть. Или нет, все-таки разобьемся.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching. The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced them.
Оказался невероятный хаос, бла-бла-бла. Пойдемте туда.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind.
В принципе, мы сейчас зайдем туда опять, и фигурку мы так-то забрали, поэтому пойдем туда, куда нам нужно.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yeah. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do. Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment. Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Блять, ладно, окей.
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed reproduction, not an actual bucket.
Окей. Давайте попробуем ответить неверно.
Item 3.
Окей, это хорошо, это ведро. А? А? Ура!
This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Да, это ведро.
What? Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
Что, блять?
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Нет, это не ведро.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless, is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence, and yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this.
Да, ты ведро, блять, понял?
All I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
Нет, ведра.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Окей, ребят, давайте, пожалуй, закончим этот просто ебанутый беспредел. Ведро. Давайте закончим этот беспредел с ведрами, со Стэнли, с нашим диктором. Я уже, честно говоря, не понимаю, что происходит в этой игре. Поэтому, ребята, всем спасибо за просмотр. Ставьте лайкосики, поддержите меня комментарием, ну и подписочкой, в принципе, тоже можно. Всем до встречи.